Good morning, everyone, and happy Saturday. My name is Callie, and this is another weekend of Clarinets, Cats, and Coffee Repertoire Edition. I call this Repertoire Edition because I am featuring a piece of music that is standard in the clarinet repertoire, and that is the Pulenc Sonata. At the beginning of the video, you heard me play the first movement, and over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to take you on a journey through the rest of the movements of this really super fun, amazing sonata that has become mainstream in clarinet repertoire. Before I jump into all of the fun nitty-gritty facts and performance tips, I want to give a shout out to all of my patrons and channel members for supporting my channel. Thank you all so much. If you love this content and you want to see more of it, please consider jumping on board on Patreon or right here on YouTube on channel memberships to support the continuation of these videos. So thank you all, and I hope to see more of you there. Okay, so first of all, this was written in 1962. It was one of the last pieces that Poulenc composed before he passed away, and I don't know what it is about this instrument. I feel like it's kind of cursed. We've got Brahms and Mozart and Poulenc. It seems like maybe it's not cursed. Maybe it's a mark of a composer's maturity. They have to mature into their love of the clarinet, and they just write all this great music at the end of their life for us. That's fine. I'll take it. I will take your later works for my instrument. Okay, anyway, that aside, it was commissioned by Benny Goodman, which I didn't know until I was looking up more information about this piece. So that's kind of cool. Unfortunately, Poulenc passed away before the premiere. Leonard Bernstein took his place in the premiere in April of 1963 in New York. So reviews were kind of mixed on this piece. The first movement, which I played for you here, was very popular, featuring all of these wonderful melodic tidbits throughout and a beautiful lyrical section in the middle. Second movement, I'll get into that whenever I share that with you in a couple of weeks. I'm going to share one more thing with you before I jump into fingerings and performance practice. This was actually dedicated to his friend Arthur Honegger, who was a composer friend of his. They were actually members of Les Six, a group of 6 prolific French composers in the early 20th century, and Honegger actually passed away in 1955, and if you remember, this was written in 1962. Now, it actually wasn't published until after Poulenc's death, alongside the Oboe Sonata. So there is some speculation in the scholarly community that it's possible that the dedication of the Oboe Sonata, which was dedicated to Prokofiev, and this one were actually swapped in the publication process, but there's no way to really tell. The only reason why there's speculation about this is because there are a lot of elements of Prokofiev-inspired tidbits in the sonata, especially in the first movement, which you just heard. So anyway, I'll take you on some more fun facts in the next few weeks of videos, but I'm going to share with you, so you can just start digging in right away, a few fingerings that you may find very useful. So the first round of fingerings I'm going to show you are for the altissimo fingerings. So there are a couple of different options that you should definitely try out for these different altissimo notes. So I'm going to jump right into the high F sharp. So there are 2 fingerings that I utilize in this work, and that is the long fingering, what we call long F sharp, 1, 2, thumb register key, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, and pinky. That fingering actually speaks really well for me, and I can get a nice, strong, resonant tone from that. So the problem is sometimes it's hard to get to. So my really quick fingering that I use in this is actually just the basic middle finger of the top hand thumb register plus the pinky. Now this one is a little bit more finicky, so I recommend practicing that little bit after 3 slowly, so you get a feel for jumping between the C sharp and the F sharp. And then of course, just give yourself a lot of air. It's marked piano. just give it a lot of air so the note speaks. It's more important that it comes out, okay? So those are the two fingerings that I utilize for the high F sharp. There are two fingerings that I like for the high F, and one is the normal fingering, or normal standard fingering, 2, 3, pinky and pinky. Now, if I want to get a high F that speaks at a softer dynamic, actually, I don't think I use this fingering at all in here, but you should know it exists because it may work really well for you in here. And that is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, this pinky. Everybody always forgets this. It speaks really well. It just doesn't have as strong of a tone as the standard fingering, so I usually opt for this one. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you a few of these fun trill fingerings, which make these awful trills so much more bearable. The first one is in measure 7. You've got F sharp to A. Okay, check it out. You keep your finger on the F sharp key and you just trill the ring finger. It's so cool. And it's great because you can do it like really fast. And the A is normally sharp when we play super soft anyway, so adding that F sharp key is going to lower the pitch and make it sound better, so you win all around. So much fun, right? Okay, so the next fun trill fingering is at the very end. You've got C sharp to E. This is no fun. So I actually, on this particular instrument, I can't remember, I think maybe on my buffet clarinet, I could trill this and get the desired effect. But on this clarinet, this fingering works really well. Yeah, this is pretty muted on my clarinet. So, but these notes do sound very different on my Yamaha than they do on my buffet. So try this out. Either try first finger or try your middle finger and see which one gets the most resonant sound for you at that pianissimo dynamic. Since we're talking about all of these trills, I have a couple of opinions. You may agree or disagree, but when I have the single step trills like the F sharp, those actually happen in the slower B section of the music. And so I prefer to start those trills slowly and then speed up, whereas the trill at the very end and the trill at the beginning, they're wider interval and they're in the faster, more importantly, they're in the faster section of the music. So I like to play those fast from start to finish. Also, they sound really cool to trill really fast because they're super soft and they're wide intervals and they're fun. So anyway, so that's my opinion about playing those. When you get to rehearsal marker 9, there are so many different ways to play this. You can go on YouTube and find like 400 different versions of people playing this. I think it's really important to try your darndest to count this accurately, because if you do, it sounds really, really cool. So these are 64th notes, which means you have to place them on the last 32nd note. Yes, you have to place both of those 64th notes on the last 32nd note of the beat. So that means, let me give you a tip, okay? So that means like you have to subdivide 32nd notes, but like that's hard. So if you subdivide your quarter notes into eighth notes, then you can subdivide 4 subdivisions in each eighth note, which is so much easier to subdivide, right? Yeah, that was right. So even I have to think about that whenever I break it down. So don't be afraid of the subdivision. It will sound really cool and exactly as it should if you try to really stick to it, okay? It's not that hard and it's not that fast. Okay, and Tuning, I have a couple of little trick fingerings for tuning these low notes. So right at 9, there's a low B, and that runs kind of sharp on my instrument. So natural tendency of the clarinet, being a little tired and also playing soft, means that Callie's going to be real sharp on that low B. So I like to add a pinky fingering. In this case, I actually add the low E pinky key. It gives it a more muted sound and brings the pitch down enough so I can tune with the piano part. So I do the same thing later on, right before 10 with that low B, and I also do it with the low C sharp as well, right before 10. I can't remember what the chord is there, but I need to bring that C sharp down as well. So that's a little thing that has become very, very useful. I think that's pretty much it. Now, this can get really boring and really old really fast unless you really commit to all of the dynamic changes and take all of the articulations to the extreme. It'll make it so much more interesting and fun. That's one of the biggest criticisms of Poulenc's music, is that it's lacking in feeling and character, and I argue that maybe it's the performer not doing what's on the page that makes it lacking in feeling and character. So just go for it, have fun with it, go crazy. This is a good time, okay? Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please stick around next week for the second movement. More fun facts. I'm gonna have to dig a little bit more into my research, and a few performance techniques as well for the second movement. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful weekend, a good week next week, and as always, happy practicing.